Hello there, and welcome to another Villa Volcano SWTOR stream where we are going to be talking all about the final episode of the first season of Andor. So, this is your big spoiler warning. We've got it in the title. So, we're going to be talking all about that episode of Andor while we run some Star Wars The Old Republic content.
Yeah, hey everybody, that was a really exciting episode of Andor. I'm really keen to hear people's thoughts about that as well as break down our thoughts. Sorry, we're a little bit late just getting started. That episode was a bit longer than some of the ones, so we just had a little bit less time to get things rolling before we started on the hour, but we are good to go now. We're on a planet, we're on a region in Star Wars The Old Republic called the Black Hole. It's part of Corellia, for those of you not familiar with the game, and we're going to run around a circuit of daily activities. But first we're going to jump on our mounts and head indoors to pick up quests, and then we'll get into the conversation proper.
Yeah, so we'd like to sort of double tap. We're obviously playing SWTOR a lot, so we like to do some of the content that we're ticking off for sort of daily, weekly objectives, and also sometimes just for fun. This is content that we haven't played in a while, but it's one of the sort of areas that we used to play a lot of.
It's actually original content, pretty much. It was in-game content very early on in the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very hard to do back in the day.
Yeah.
We couldn't actually do that end heroic.
So just get the ball rolling, and we'll pop outside. There's one more mission that we've got to pick up outside.
I picked that one up already.
I did, so
yep.
Just excuse us while we run through the administrative tasks. Like I say, we were just rushing to get online after that episode, which was 54 minutes. And unlike other episodes, it pretty much filled the actual prescribed time because of that post-credit scene, which I hope everybody stuck around to watch.
Yes.
In some regions of the internet, social media, we had a little bit of warning that was going to take place. Not too much of a surprise, but interesting and cool to see as a bookend to that episode.
Yeah, we generally don't, associate end credit scenes with Star Wars. That's usually Marvel's thing. But, some of the previous series have done it. The one most notable for me was at the end of The Mandalorian that teased Book of Boba Fett. That was a big one. So I had a feeling they might sneak something in here, even if it wasn't sort of rumored online. I was gonna certainly stick to the end because we know that there's going to be a season 2, so that would be an ideal spot to tease something there.
Well, we know there's going to be a season 2. We have a few details about it, but it further bridges the gap between what we've seen and the episodes of and the movie of Rogue One, of course. We know that it's got a gap of about 4 years to fill. So I was kind of a little bit surprised that this one ended with still quite a few loose threads.
Yeah.
There'll be a bit of a time jump when the next season starts, I believe, and then there's subsequent time jumps once the episode's going. But yeah, there's things that were satisfying about that end, and there are things that were mildly cliffhangering, particularly for some threads in particular, some characters in particular.
Yeah. It was definitely a lot more open-ended than I was expecting. Like we know that it was slated for a season 2, so we knew that they could leave everything completely up in the air, but it's not a sort of a style that we're accustomed to Star Wars. I know the last episode of The Mandalorian that we saw was a bit cliffhangery, but we've already had a few seasons of The Mandalorian under its belt. We knew that it's doing very well. We know that it's sort of written now as an ongoing series, so it wasn't too surprising to see that there. But I really liked the ending. Like this final episode, I really did like it.
Yeah, I like the ending. I knew that there were going to be a few people that wouldn't make it through, but I'm particularly satisfied that a few of the heroes did make it through, and the reason for that is that as they develop the characters, some of them you really got a strong feeling about how connected they were, how important they were to Andor and to the situation on Ferrix, and it would have been a bit sad but satisfying if no one significant made it through. But that's talking about the ending. It's just we'll jump back and talk about the beginning.
Yeah.
What we can remember of it, because so much happened. I was really anxious going into this. I knew it was going to be significant and building up to a lot.
Yeah, well, it's one of those sort of powder keg, I guess is the best way to describe it. Sorry, I'm just going to go this way.
And we knew that the essence of the episode was going to be confrontation centered around Marva's funeral procession.
Yeah. And that basically everyone was getting drawn in.
Present, but boy, really, really hard to know how the details were going to pan out.
Yeah.
And they played on that.
Oh, you still need something.
I do. I need a bunch of weaponry. So
okay.
There's things over here.
But I found myself getting really anxious in that episode, as you saw. A little bit reassuring when Deirdre is like, no, I want him alive, and I'm sort of like, okay. that takes a little bit of pressure, but it's still anyone else's basically fair game. And we finally get to those scenes. We got snippets of them in the trailer, of sort of Death Troopers, Black Imperial Troopers, and things like that, on the streets of Ferrix. So it was fun to kind of get. It was interesting to see that they did actually include shots from the finale in the trailer. Generally, Star Wars is a little bit more, hidden. So
that's not so much because it gave a lot away at the time of the trailer, but as you went through and realised what scenes from the trailer hadn't been seen yet, you could sort of deduce where they fit a little bit.
But I thought they did. I was surprised, but then not. This episode is giving me a lot of those vibes, sort of on two sides of the fence.
Most boats just run through this, whatever comes our way.
How emotionally tied I was to Marva. She's a new Star Wars character, but seeing the funeral procession was really quite emotional. Sort of seeing just how much of an impact she had on everybody. And I don't want to be like what is the word, like too much of a conspiracy theory, but I do wonder whether there was a little bit of whether it wasn't exactly by accident that they kind of gave her breathing problems before she died. It feels like a little bit of a touch on sort of hitting a common thread that a lot of people have had to deal with over the last 2 years with the pandemic. That the core sort of component of that illness is breathing, respiratory illness. So I felt like it was sort of unsaid, but a reference. So I felt like it would touch on an emotional point for a lot of people, considering that it's a fairly sort of global issue that a lot of people would have known somebody that was passed away because of it. So I felt like there was a real emotional component to it. And of course, most adults watching this will have lost a loved one, and just seeing the emotion, because mothers are significant. Necessary. Losing your mother is clearly a very significant emotional key point for Andor and everyone else. We see just how respected, how loved, how important she was to everybody. Like everyone sort of looked after her like she was their mother. So it was really quite emotional, especially when the music procession, I thought that was a really interesting touch. They looked like real musicians playing real musical instruments that just sort of had a bit of a modal nodes, greeblies sort of on it. It kind of made me think of some of the sort of musical instruments that we've seen in other cantinas. We've seen it in The Force Awakens and Jabba's Palace and the Mos Eisley Cantina and stuff like that. So I thought that was fun. A little bit of a nod during a very somber. We've seen funeral processions before. Notably, we've seen Qui-Gon's funeral. We saw the funeral procession for Padme Amidala. This one, even though we didn't know her as much, it hit different. We didn't get quite as long for other funerals, even though the characters that we've seen before sort of had more significance. I mean, not that Qui-Gon was, he only got sort of, I guess, 2.5 hours.
Secondarily got a feel for her significance.
Yeah.
And it certainly came through by the end of it. I mean, because they explained the Daughters of Ferrix quite a bit more, and the fact that she was a past president,
yeah,
which really conveys her role in the community. But yeah, just jumping around a little bit, the thing that I really took from all of that, we knew that she stopped taking her medication. She kind of knew that she kind of had things to do, but she knew her time was up and there was only so much she could physically do. So she almost made a conscious decision, or maybe straight up made a conscious decision to pass on as a martyr and as an inspiration to light the fuse for Cassian, because the message was passed on to him, and for the community on a whole to fight back. Well,
I guess she knew how the custom would play out, that they would have a public procession, that there would be sort of Imperials basically guarding the goings on, and she knew that there would be an opportunity to play a recorded message, which she used to great effect.
I wonder if, B2 must have been cognizant of the recording.
Yes, because he would have made the recording.
Yeah, it was a fun little Return of the Jedi moment to have him pop the light projector out of his dome.
I almost wondered if he was going to fire a bomb or something like that. I was a little bit worried that he was going to basically, send a missile off and sort of hit the Imperial base or something like that. When I saw that thing pop up, I was like, and then I was like, oh, it's a hollow projector. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. And that was definitely
and I think they doubled down on the whole way that played out, because before that took place, I think it was before, just trying to remember the trajectories, Cassian went to the wall that his adopted father's brick was in, and had a bit of a flashback associated with that, which was interesting and powerful.
Yeah, even though we didn't actually see Cassian's face, because I guess we've seen very young Cassian, and this would be later on, sort of bridging the gap between the young Cassa that we saw and Cassian as Diego Luna. So there's sort of, it's easier to kind of get the face matching if you just don't show the face. And it was, I guess, powerful because it's sort of more from Cassian's memory viewpoint. He wouldn't necessarily remember his own face in those moments. It's sort of from his perspective.
And I mean, it's really interesting the way it all panned out. It was kind of slow, but also things were happening and you had to pay attention. But the big thing that was kind of open-ended was, if he knew the Imperials were going to be chasing him down, why did he go back to the funeral? Why did he go for that trap? And it kind of became clear that how much his family meant to him, and I think that's the interaction with his father's stone played into that, explained that. And he did, verbalize that he had to come back for Marva.
Yeah.
And that really, I don't know, it said a lot about his connection to his family and the importance, and by extension,
and his friends as well, not just sort
by
of
extension,
biological family.
how much her wishes will play into his future.
Yeah. And the friend that sort of memorized the message for him.
I think that's Brasso.
Yeah. I think I like how impactful the supporting characters have been.
What? Just make daily eyes and ears. Have you got 4 out of 5?
Is 1 out of 5.
Sorry, what?
1 out of 5.
Eyes and ears.
Yeah, we're going to have to go back and do that one later.
Yeah.
Only one of them counted because I only clicked one.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah.
That's odd. That's a new phenomenon then.
Yep. Because it used to be that it was grouped, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, sidetrack there. So yeah, he was obviously conscious that it was a trap, effectively. Didn't know how many people were necessarily going to be gunning for him. I don't think it became clear until he saw Luthen that he knew that they were after him as well.
Yeah.
But the way it all panned out in the end, obviously, the words of his mother, the actions of the community, it all led him to what I guess we were hoping for, that sort of flicking of the switch to realize that his place was with the rebellion, and he made that dialogue, that exchange with Luthen, that that's what he wants, that's all he wants. He wants to fight or die.
Yeah.
And that was his way of convincing Luthen that he was fully serious and on board about it.
Yeah. I thought it was,
which worked, because I was wondering how they were going to turn around basically Luthen, Cinta, and Val. They were all on a plan. I was wondering what they would do to
not kill him,
get them off his back. Basically, they needed something. I didn't really have any idea how they could come about.
No. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we time skip at the end for the next one, or whether it's going to link straight up.
Yeah, if we pick things up down the line, yeah. He said he was going to meet up with the others that escaped on the ship from the junkyard, but I've just been saying that.
Yeah. I really want them to like join up with the rebellion.
That would be
somehow.
nice, but just knowing that they're alive, I think is possibly.
We don't necessarily need to see much of them. I still think they're important to Cassian and his story.
Yeah.
But I really do trust the showrunners with the direction for Cassian's story. So I know that, I mean, like most Star Wars characters, I always want to see more. I want to see, more about these characters, because, more Star Wars is always fun. And B2 being cute, and sort of integral. I think it would be cute to see, because we know that the people that got away are the ones that have sort of the strongest convictions, and sort of close connections to Cassian, and have already kind of proven themselves as being willing to risk themselves to take on the Empire. So if there were anybody, like, you've got what is, I guess, a significant person from the Daughters of Ferrix. I don't know, because we weren't sort of introduced to her as such. I don't know if she's the leader.
We did see her.
But she's
important. See her in the scenes of cleaning up after Marva passed away.
Yeah, so she would have been close.
Yeah.
And clearly she is helping the others escape. So she's well connected to them. And obviously she would have a sort of a heart for the rebellion. And then we've seen the rebel spy connection, Bix, who has been tortured by the Empire. We see the young man that lost his father to the Empire, and which actually sort of threw the bomb. He would obviously be wanting to take on the Empire. He's already risked his life pretty significantly there. Oh, these things throwing me around. So yeah, I think, I mean, that would feel like the obvious route to have them sort of link up with the rebellion, or at least a rebellion cell. We saw the through the sort of ISB headquarters that the Andor Krieger mission played out the way that the Imperials wanted it to, and that they walked into the trap and were basically obliterated. And we see some, just as a connection to that, the really interesting sort of connecting point that the other ISB agent, the one that Dedra was always sort of infighting with, is the one that's actually planted the driver, the Imperial sort of driver spy with Mon Mothma, which Mon Mothma uses to great effect. At first I was wondering what the play was here, and then of course
when she was talking about the gambling, your husband's gambling,
he seems to be genuinely arguing against it. And then I was like, what? And then, of course, she's clever. She knows that if you tell an Imperial spy not to listen, that he's going to listen. And she's using it as an opportunity to basically plant the seeds that it's her husband's secret gambling that will account for secret transactions, money moving around, like he's trying to hide gambling losses from his wife, and that's why there is a chunk of money missing. And I was like, that is fairly clever and kind of shifty from Mon Mothma, but she's having to do it. And I guess she knows that her husband's not on her side, so if she can do anything, you know, it's not like he's going to get like mad or whatever. Like they clearly got a bit of a frosty relationship at this point anyway, so she's using his past as a possible cover, and then we see that being relayed to the ISB agent, so we know that her little sort of ruse worked. I'm going to quick travel back to the start.
And let's pop back in, and we'd have to do the reverse. You do 4, I do 1. For that remaining quest. No, that correspondent scene, it took me just a couple of seconds before I realised what she was doing. In terms of setting up an explanation, a plausible explanation for the gap in their accounting.
But then again, right at the end, we do see that she has introduced her daughter to what I assume is the son. I didn't get a good look on the father of the sort of 14-year-old boy being introduced, but I assume it's the sort of the underworld figure.
The previous episode,
just got to sort of check the credits and do all that sort of double checking and stuff like that. But I assume because that's what has been talked about and there are expressions in that scene, the daughter didn't look upset. She looked possibly a little bit nervous, but a little bit sort of excited.
I think that's what they were setting up. They're setting up that it was her choice, so it didn't feel too weird.
That she's the one that's actually. What's that? You can't see this one.
You can't see?
No, because this is the one I
wonder if we either have to reset it or do it as my phase.
Oh, yes, this is... Wait, I'm just going to run around and see if I can see the other ones.
I don't think about which I can't see.
Nope.
No, I can't see
Sorry, I'm triggering all the
Okay, so what we're dealing with here is some phased zones of this game. We used to be able to do group together, but there's been a few changes where...
Oh, I think we're just going to have to exit out and reset it and do it individually.
Yeah, I think we are. We'll just try and do that.
I'm lost. Where am I going?
We took a shortcut, a route we don't usually take.
Yeah.
So Mon Mothma didn't get too many scenes, but enough.
That we see she's making moves to hide. That she's found a few options to basically hide the money. Let's reset local phases, and I'm going to reset that.
You got it?
What's that? Yeah.
You'd be able to reset. Was it yours, was it?
Well, I reset local phases, and I reset the quest.
Okay.
It's right at the bottom and under additional commands.
Okay. Let's see how it pans out. It might take a couple of attempts. Are you in here?
Yeah.
Okay, we're in different phases.
Yes, because we're split grouped.
Okay.
So that's the fastest way to do it.
Oh, that's why I couldn't see it as a group command,
Yeah. No, it's just the fastest way to do it. But yeah, so I'm hoping that means that Mon Mothma's going to be able to make some more progress in the next one.
I'll have to, yeah.
I think it's interesting that as much as I kind of wanted it, we didn't get a Palpatine moment in this episode. I was thinking about it. We got some sort of political bits, but not as much as I think people were possibly expecting, because we know how important the Senate and sort of the rebellion is to Mon Mothma. It was more of a personal story than I was perhaps expecting, which I quite liked. It wasn't just her sort of doing committee meetings and stuff like that, but it still showed her in her political arena. But those were moments of just complete sort of, I don't know what's the right word, sadness, because no one was listening to her. People were just either too scared to look like they were supporting her words against Palpatine, or they genuinely don't care anymore. They're just in the job for the position, the connections, the money, and the lifestyle. and they don't actually care about trying to help the galaxy anymore.
Yeah. Now, in terms of people joining the rebellion, we only got satisfaction from Andor's thread because, yeah, Mon Mothma's whole story is still a cliffhanger. That's the biggest loose thread almost.
Yeah.
I mean, Cinta and Val were still on Ferrix, and of course Deidre and Cyril are still on Ferrix. Their stories are open-ended, but I think Mon Mothma's, her story arc, because we know it's got to go somewhere specific.
Yeah. Somehow we at least assume her family does not go with her. Oh, I somehow only did 4 out of 5. Oh, I'm not paying attention. In automatic mode. No, I don't know which one I didn't do. I'm gonna have to run through the whole thing again.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can always reset it.
It's not that one. Isn't that one? It has to be the last one, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
Where is it? Which one didn't I click? I'm gonna trigger so many traps running through here. I can't find it. Oh, there it is. Oh, the one where you get interrupted. I must have clicked on it, but it interrupted me.
Okay, that's possible.
Okay. I've been detected. Trying to talk and play at the same time. Getting distracted, thinking about Andor.
Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah.
It's been a little while since I've done this one.
Scenes, boy, they were. I mean, I went into this episode with a bit of tension and not sure if I was ready for it. The way they just built things up
and
until
the
that conflict.
sheer number of people in those scenes.
Yeah.
It honestly looked like a lot of extras.
Some of them might have been faked in, but at least the front lines and all those Imperials wearing the black Solo style, ATST style.
Yeah.
They were all real. A few stormtroopers. That's good. Actually, the opening scenes, that was really cool. The Lander class shuttle coming into Ferrix with Deidre on it. I almost forgot about that during my time.
Zerko?
Sorry, say again?
Zerko?
Yep.
Yeah, those were cool. At first I was like, I wonder which planet this is, and I'm like, of course, the whole thing is going to be set on Ferrix. So yeah, we just didn't sort of see it at night quite as much. So that was quite cool. I liked the way it kind of showed everybody sort of coming in. We saw Cyril Khan and his friend sort of coming in on the shuttle, things like that. We saw Luthen Rail landing his ship and sort of catching his speeder in.
Out,
yeah.
Yeah, following all lines over here.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, the way that they built it up, like it didn't get too much to the action straight away. We knew that there was going to be action, but I like that it was a little bit of a build up, that it wasn't just like, okay, we know what you're here for, let's just get over and done with. I thought it was the tension in those scenes was really quite well done, and I think it was fun that the sort of the bell ringer in the tower played a significant part. Sort of,
the whole time.
Yeah.
And we might have to go some to another zone.
Yeah.
Got a friend there. What's he doing up there?
Yeah, got 2. I think. Oh no, there we go. So what are the other major components of this episode?
Didn't see how Cassian actually got to Ferrix.
No.
I don't think.
But we know he's got money. So he could have could have taken a shuttle.
Yeah, I mean,
But
that's a side note, but
I was relieved to see his friends get off, though. He
I
gave
really
them.
was.
He gave them.
I was worried that Vix might be too out of it. She might be too traumatized.
Oh man, I was hoping we were not going to get like a Shmi Skywalker moment where he like gets her and they get reunited and she's too weak and she dies. I was like, yeah, she got off. Like she was a little bit sort of like not delirious, but I guess unsure because she'd been tortured and stuff, and
that's all those, just a bunch of the others.
Yeah. Because she's obviously been wishing that somebody would come and rescue her, so when it actually happens you're not quite sure to believe it, or if it's just a dream. I liked seeing her get rescued. And then of course the interesting little bits and pieces that we got were with Deirdre. I was honestly like, I thought she was possibly done for when she gets sort of knocked down in that in the skirmish.
Because it almost leaves me wondering, I think they're playing that she was shocked by how real being in the field was.
But I thought they said that she came from like the Stormtrooper division or something like that, or maybe, or like whether she's just like like she's never actually seen like it's a little bit different when the Imperials don't have the upper hand. It's very easy to be brave and all sort of like poncy and Imperial when you've never actually had your life threatened like that, like very real. You know, perhaps I gotta go back and watch those episodes again. We were gonna watch it. Whether she was from the Imperial, because it's very different if you've got Stormtrooper armor on versus just an Imperial officer's outfit. You know, and then
she came from a different division, but I can't remember the specifics. I got the impression that it wasn't in the field. I think from just based solely on the reaction to that. I think she was possibly just like a black suited Imperial officer, one that works with troopers or something like that, not necessarily intelligence. But she looked genuinely frightened, and I was like, oh man, are they just going to like take revenge? Because they were very clear at showing who had been killed and who hadn't. You know, we saw the friend that turned out to be the spy. The guy from Traffic Control, whatever it was.
That basically dobbed in where Cassian was, but thankfully Cassian had actually moved on from his hiding spot at that point, so he wasn't found. We do see Cassian take out an Imperial very decidedly with a sort of blaster bolt directly to the chest, and we also see Cinta taking out an Imperial very decidedly. So we see the people that are not afraid to use force.
I mean, Cinta's story really came through there because they were
that she prioritized her mission over sort of reuniting with her love interest.
Because she was supposed to meet her, but was distracted by the fact that the Lowborn Imperial
was out and Deirdre was with him. So she knew something was up, and she knew it was going to be important to go see what was going on. So and we can see that Val is not taking that well. But I guess she has to know how important this is to Cinta.
So I'm not sure how they're going to play that.
Because she almost seemed like she was going to take the opportunity to kill that Imperial, and I don't know if that Imperial specifically has any sort of specific meaning for her, or whether she's just gonna take any opportunity to take down Imperials that she can, because she looked like quite the assassin when she finally cornered him.
So I'm not quite sure what they're trying to do in terms of distinguishing Val and Cinta and their priorities, but they've invested a lot of storytelling into it, so I feel like it's got to come to a head at some point.
I've got all the people I need. I'm just going to go downstairs.
Likewise.
Cool. It'll be interesting to see how many of these characters get sort of along for the ride throughout the next season, or who are going to sort of like just be launching spots, whether we're going to see a whole host of new characters introduced in the next season. Yeah. Because we didn't see Saw Gerrera at all in this episode, but then of course we didn't get any indication that he was going to be there for any specific reason, and he looks very reluctant to kind of come out of his sort of hiding spot unless it was
compromises.
Yeah, he's very paranoid, so it takes a lot. Yeah, he's only gonna
he's stretched from the shadows.
Yeah, he's only going to come out if he's 100% on board with the plan and sort of analysed it from all angles and stuff. So I think it worked well. But I do kind of want to see him interact with, like...
Good chance we'll see more on in season 2, yeah.
Yeah, because we know that there's kind of like a beef between the Rebellion and Saw Gerrera, but we haven't really seen him interact with the main sort of Rebellion. Because it's going to get to the point where he's like Luthen's talking to him, but by the time we get to Rogue One, the rebels are basically using Jinn to talk to him.
Yeah.
That they don't really have an in with him anymore, which is an interesting point to get to, and one that I hope that they cover in this show, even if it's not directly part of Cassian's story. Didn't get as many flashbacks as possibly we thought we might get, but I think that they were very well used, what we did get for his story with his father and his childhood.
I mean, just specifically today? Or...
Well, just in the show in general. But I think it was really neat to show just how much his mother meant to them, even though he was essentially sort of an orphan that was rescued.
Yeah.
So we've done that one. I'm just going to go back outside the door.
Yep. Yeah, kind of for me, that one.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real pattern to which ones have changed, which ones haven't changed.
Yeah.
There's no hint as to whether or not, Loy has been recaptured or...
I know. I thought, that we might get a little bit of like a flashback to see if perhaps the factories are back up and running and he's still there, or whether they're sort of abandoned, or I don't know, being run by droids or something. I don't know. Like, yeah, it was interesting to see. Let's go to McKib and work on some GSI.
Okay.
I really liked the action scenes. I think it was clear. I like action scenes where you can see what's going on, when it's just like a whole lot of visual noise and chaos and it's sort of muddy to figure it out. I think they did very well focusing on the characters, and we could see, when Imperials got taken off and when Ferrix civilians were taken, so we could sort of clearly see sort of who's getting what. We saw the young shopkeeper's son sort of building something at the start.
Yes.
And then we see him make use of that to great effect. Those look like real on-set special effects too, I gotta say.
Yeah, I think there's a few practical explosions there. Maybe not all of them all the time, but there would have been some.
Yeah, which I think was fun. Okay.
Okay, so...
I'm going to start with... let me see. Friend Mesa, kind of in the middle. Okay. But yeah, I think that was sort of satisfying. We had explosions, we had big blasters and stuff like that. We had classic stormtroopers in the mix. I think it was fun. It made me feel like once I saw the setup, I was like, I feel like this is going to have similar vibes to the street sort of attack on Jeddah that we see in Rogue One, when Saw Gerrera's forces sort of take on the Imperial. Oh, where is this?
Gone a bit far.
Did we go past it? Did we?
Yeah, I think it feels like we got a little far. I don't remember it well, but
Is it in here, is it?
this one.
Oh gosh, it's so hidden.
It's now, so I remember back in the early days when we first discovered it.
Yeah. Okay. There's one here. But I thought it was fun that it felt similar without just being sort of like, I don't know, like a do-over or something like that. There was some fun sort of land speeders and vehicles and things like that. And oh gosh, those must have been fun scenes to film on set. With that many people all dressed up in costume. You had sort of the procession with the music players. And a boatload of Imperials as well.
Yep, and head-to-head confrontation and then the actual melee itself.
And of course, one of the things that we haven't talked about is after Deirdre is kind of mobbed on the ground and loses her blaster, we see that Cyril Khan is there because he's come in because he's hoping to sort of, I guess, catch Andor. I don't know why he think he could do it when the Imperials are clearly on the case. But his eyes are on Deirdre the whole time. He notices that she's there across the way. He's like watching her the whole time, and clearly he notices when she's in trouble, and is disguised as a civilian, and kind of, I guess, uses the opportunity to kind of drag her away, looking like he's gonna execute her or something like that. And there's this really interesting moment between the two of them there that I'm curious to see how they're gonna play. Like,
his it would be sort of like open-ended.
Yeah.
Whether it's sort of suspicious of where we're traveling.
Volcanic missile.
Whether he's
whether it's like career aspirations or romantic aspirations. I still don't know. It could be both. Whether he thinks he's got an in the Imperials and, you know, falling for her at the same time. Because she kind of seems scared, but kind of she doesn't immediately sort of push him away.
I think she was genuinely grateful.
Yeah.
Not just hesitantly grateful. I mean, the hesitancy was from shock rather, you know, and perhaps surprised at straight up seeing him there because there's a lot going on.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, you're from Coruscant. What are you doing here? So I'm really curious to see where they're going to go with that pairing dynamic scenario. I don't know. In the next season. So I'm very much like, I know I kind of wanted to watch the whole season before getting to the end, but getting to the end, I think I'm kind of glad because I want to sit down and watch the whole thing end to end, finale included. I think. Yeah. Knowing how it all plays out.
It's a big task now, but
I know it's a bit long, but I think
nearly 10 hours. But I have to break it down over a couple of nights. But
did that count for you? Didn't flash up on your screen?
No, it didn't.
Okay, well, there's one over here. I had a feeling we did this together last time. I think that was a pretty good ending for the first season. We feel like we've had a win against the Empire. Not necessarily in sort of a massive sort of like taking down the Death Star type win, but the Empire didn't win the day there, and Marva's last wishes were
her
fulfilled.
Speech for a hologram was unexpected. I certainly didn't expect that, and I actually found it quite impactful, quite believably stirring and motivational. Even just as a audience member, I can imagine how that would have a genuine impact under real world situations. So that was really plausible as a mechanism of change.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of the things I wanted to get out of this season and the story was this the light turning on for Andor and him wanting to actively join the rebellion, not just for the sake of money.
Yeah.
If it counts one down, 3, 2, 1, go. And yeah, again, that was plausible because of his connection to his family, the message he got from his mother, what he saw happening on Ferrix, and how other people reacted, what he saw had been done to Bix. All those things sort of came together. And there was one point that was kind of interesting, just talking about people's realizations, where I think Ethan Rail was kind of almost surprised at the actions of the Ferrix locals.
Yeah.
I don't think he was expecting it to come to such an active confrontation in that way. I saw sort of moments of realization on his face that was unexpected.
Yeah, I don't think he had any dialogue outside of the end scene. He's there, but just watching. Oh, no, he talks to Val.
Yeah.
Right at the start when he's there, doesn't he? But yeah, he's obviously there because they're trying to basically tie up loose ends.
I think that might, yeah.
Because we realize that they're going to let the Imperials catch him.
I think it played into him accepting Andor on board so readily because he saw the significance of what Andor had been through and, you know, the importance of his mother's influence and his mother's motivation and role. I think all of that almost, you know, came into play in terms of him now being able to trust that what Andor's motivation is. Yeah.
And clearly he's got a read on people. He knows Andor was like, how do you know everything about me?
Yeah. I mean, there's that backstory that factors in without a doubt as well. I'll count it down. 3, 2, 1, go.
So he knows everything about Cassian, but I guess he also knows how these events would potentially turn him into an asset. Because they know what he's capable of. They are obviously very
exactly. By the time he got
very
back to
appreciative of his skills because they brought him on board for a very crucial mission.
Yeah.
But I think it was his devotion to the cause that was the one thing that they were unsure about.
Exactly.
But he's proven that now.
No, because he'd actively said, indicated that he was just doing it for the money.
Yeah.
And a big friend. And it's for that reason that I don't think they wanted him as a loose end.
Yeah, because people that talk for money are like the spy. He was probably doing it for the money / protection. I don't know. Probably money. And yeah, those people, when push comes to shove, they'll talk. And they know how important access is to the rebellion.
Yeah. Well, that's right. That was one thing that kind of stood out to me as well. The ISB weren't just hunting down Andor per se. They wanted him as a path to finding out who Axis was and capturing Axis.
Yeah. We know that Bix said something like, I'm sorry, and I thought she was going to admit to telling them something.
True.
And I don't know if they fully explained that, or whether she's just sort of apologizing for being captured. Countdown.
Yeah, last one. 3, 2, 1, go. I think for just not being there, not being capable for, I guess, is a possible explanation for that.
Okay, that one's done. We've got Westwater settlements, top left.
Yep, on the west.
Yes. That's kind of, obvious. Another other sort of a random observation. I love Mon Mothma's attire.
Okay.
Fabulous costuming. It does. I think they really set up just how sort of removed everyone on Ferrix looks like. They're always just covered in a layer of grime that never ever seems to come off. You know, they're all like working in mines and sort of foundries and smelters and stuff like that. And yeah. Mon Mothma always looks pristine. Of course, she lives in like a white. Where are we going this way? You know, with her white attire and her beautiful white Coruscant apartment and stuff like that, it looks, yeah, so different. Which would be, I really want to see her sort of join up. With the rebellion, which I'm hoping we see in the next.
Like I say, that's the other thread that would have been nice, but in terms of not quite getting everything, I think. Andor
I just think the rebellion itself isn't like fully formed enough to pull everyone together.
I don't think so.
Yet.
I think the conversations we're having with Saw Gerrera kind of imply that it's still bits and pieces and small cells.
Yeah. But some of them know about each other.
But they're all motivated slightly differently, slightly different tactics, slightly different. Some are fighting local battles, some are fighting bigger. Maybe, we'll leave them out looking at the bigger picture. Some aren't looking at the bigger picture. But yeah, there's a lot of storytelling to be told in that regard. And I hope, and I guess we're going to have to see more people from Rogue One and possibly even A New Hope from Yavin come into play. As I said in previous streams and podcasts, that we know that Season 2 is going to get to the Yavin base one way or another. Tony always told us that.
I think there's a part of me that wishes, like because I've enjoyed this season so much, that it would be ongoing. But I know how tricky that is when you've got a bookend. That you can't. You're not in complete control.
You don't want to stretch it out too much.
Yeah.
But if we break it down like this, so 12 episodes, a little under 10 hours, maybe 9 hours. I mean, if we double that, that's 18 hours. That's
The story for Andor is like how he got from point A to point B, B being Rogue One. It's not really a let's see what sort of rebellion mission he's on this week. It's not like that.
No,
you can't play it like the Mandalorian, where it's like the adventures of the Mandalorian. Okay, we're going to do this, and now we're over here, and this, and that. You know, in a sort of a very episodic manner. As much as I wish, because Andor is a really cool character, but we know he has a finite story.
You can't tell such a pivotal, big story and lots of small stories at the same time in quite the same way.
Yeah.
And none of the multi way. Should get the last one.
Yeah. Looking for one. Yeah.
David's just joined us. Just started a bit late, so finished a bit late by the look of things.
Yeah.
How's it going, David? Good episode. So we've broken it down a fair bit. We're happy to go over more and more detail. As we said very early on, really nervous about how things were going to pan out. And then I don't actually know how long it was before they had that confrontation on the street during the funeral procession. It felt like half the episode, but it might have been a bit shorter than that. But the build up, the tension, and just not knowing, what Andor's actually going to do, how he's going to get, we don't know if he's going to get caught or escape or whatever. Just that was crazy.
Sanctuary at the bottom.
Yep.
Death Star components at the end. Yeah, I thought that was fun. That was sort of one of those questions. It's like they didn't know what they're building. It was like, oh, we don't know what it is that they're building. I liked. Yeah. It was either going to be like, I don't know. My brain was like, oh, maybe it's like they were too big to be droid parts, and I was like, maybe it's vehicles of some sort. But yeah, the Death Star is just so fitting, isn't it? Because Cassian's one of the ones that, you know, leads to its ultimate destruction. I think that was, and that's why they need like so many of them. The people that are building it don't know what they're making, because it's something that hasn't been built before. So of course they wouldn't be able to tell what it was because it hasn't been made before. But obviously they need a lot of them, and they don't.
And no matter how big it is, it has to be made from smaller bits.
Yeah. It's not going to be made from like one half sphere and another half sphere. They just glue it together. Because I think it was interesting that it was like the actual like the sort of the beam emitter part that we see, because that's what we see, the big dish going into place in Rogue One. In that shot, we sort of see it getting
things they don't do a lot for quite a bit of time.
Well,
maybe the breakdown of the manufacturing facility, it slows down the construction of this stuff.
Yeah, because they lost their a good chunk of the labor force. So they're behind schedule.
But lots of tension, but some satisfying conclusions to some threads, a few open threads to carry over to the following season, which I guess you kind of got to expect.
Yeah.
Super relieved that B2 made it off planet.
Oh, I'm always so nervous
more than I can say.
Honestly, he's kind of cute and harmless. He can't really like fight back too much. And when he got, I was really worried the Imperial was going to like smash him to stop the broadcast. I was like,
Speaking of smashing things, though, I think it was very intentional and unaccidental that Brasso, I think that's his name, used Marva's brick to take out some Imperials.
Yeah. It was literally her sort of fighting back, I don't know what happened to the brick. I don't know. I'd have to slow-mo and see if he's actually still got it with him when they're running off to the ship. Like whether they basically take her off-world with them.
Yeah,
you know, possible. And she ends up going in the wall in some rebellion base or something.
Yeah, and Dave says Saul saving Dira was well portrayed. I mean, on the whole, there wasn't anything that I was unsatisfied with this. Apart from it was a lot more
cliffhangery than I was perhaps expecting. But you know, when you sit back and you're like, no, that was all sort of quite well balanced. Yeah.
No, the Luthen's story arc, Luthen's points and understanding, accepting of Andor back into the fold per se.
He almost looked like not quite amused, but maybe relieved.
I think he might have been relieved.
That he doesn't have to kill Andor. That he's like, aha, yes, you came around. Okay, now we don't have to kill you. We can use you.
I think relieved is the right description.
Because it's the way that he kind of like not laughs, but he smiles at the end. Let's get this antenna, which was really quite fun because Luthen is he's a really cool character, but he's not exactly a happy character. He's obviously gone through some stuff.
I mean, he conveyed that in a speech the other week.
Yeah.
And obviously he's going to be still very, very central in the next season as well. Which I'm so
glad. I'm really glad that the people that I was really rooting for didn't die. I know that this, like, you know, once you have the precedent being Rogue One, then anybody's fair game, really. But I'm hoping that they, thematically, they save the sort of the tragic end for what we know is at the end of Rogue One, and that we get sort of more wins.
Well, I was going to say there's a trend for a lot of people to die in some drama these days, and to be blunt, Rogue One is a case in point. So I was very relieved that the number of people that got off planet.
Yeah. Like we saw some of the people on Ferrix get taken out by Imperial
lots of Ferrix people, but
fire.
I even thought Saul might die.
Yeah, like I wasn't sure whether she was basically gonna be like, oh my gosh, you're like stalking me
I
or
thought
something, and she was gonna take him out, or that he was gonna get
I thought
like
that
caught
this
up
was
in
a
the
big explosion
crossfire.
that took a lot of people out,
Yeah,
took out
yeah,
windows of the headquarters and stuff.
yeah.
I thought for a brief moment there, more than just a flash of a moment there, that Cyril would sacrifice himself to save Deidre.
Yes, yes. When he went running for her, I thought he's gonna like shield her from an explosion, and then
You know,
she's
I don't
gonna
know
sort
why I
of
thought
like,
that.
you know,
I mean,
like
it's just
get covered by his body, you know, like,
yeah.
and find that he took the blast.
I don't know how that would play out in terms of the story arc or people, you know, the characters' experiences of it all. So I don't know why I thought that, but it just goes to show how
I'm just trying
good
to
at
figure out
direction
whether.
and misdirection the writers are.
Oh, I'm running around, but I've already done it.
Yeah.
I was like, where's the last one? Okay, up to the top, Hut Strongholds.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm really intrigued where they're going to go with that story. He's obviously stolen from his mother and run off world, so I don't know that he's necessarily going to have a warm welcome. I don't know what his game plan there is. I guess he thinks that, I don't know, he'd get like a promotion, as it were, like, you know, for saving her life. Maybe she'll sort of repay the favor and give him a job or something, and then he can sort of you know, not be so reliant on his mother. He looks desperately eager to not be living with his mother. But yeah.
He's very reluctantly back there. Just he's got no other choice.
His character's fun, and he's that kind of character that I really don't know where the writers are going to take him. So I think it's really interesting.
Without trying to make a point.
I'm just going to do some binocularing from here in case I can see some. Because I think... I can see one.
Cool. It's that.
You got that?
Yep.
Cool.
So yeah, some bits and pieces were already mentioned, but I'll just go over again. That it was cool seeing the Death Troopers.
Yeah.
Cool seeing the Lambda shuttle. And right at the start.
And classic stormtroopers, of course. I liked that there was a moment where they were sort of marching through the town before the parade. It reminded me of the way that they were practicing on Aldani, sort of marching in formation. It felt like we were seeing that sort of Imperial marching sort of done for real.
That, but yeah, that makes sense.
I thought that was kind of like an interesting little subtle nod. I am going to get the satellite dish over there.
Yeah, Mon Mothma's story is really turning out to be tragic, isn't it?
Yeah. I hope we get a win for her, because it's sad, and she's
well, I mean, Danny, it's not gonna. I mean,
we know that she doesn't die. She does actually see.
Die.
She sees the sort of the rebellion
during the height
succeed.
of the Empire, being a Rebel Alliance leader is not fun. I'm sure it's challenging in many ways, and
you're going to lose a lot of people.
Happy person. You can't be a happy person in a rebel hiding.
No, we see how solemn she is when she's talking about, you know, many Bothans died. She's not just frivolous of the sacrifices that have been made to get information that everyone puts their lives on the line for the rebellion.
Speaking of that specific point, Tony Greer always said there was reasons why it didn't include too many aliens, because it can potentially complicate just storytelling in terms of backstory and baggage associated with some species. But it'd be kind of fun if we have Bothans, and if they sort of fit that into the story to work out why they make reference to that Return of the Jedi, but we don't see any of it in Rogue One.
Or perhaps we might see Monkals, because they are always going to be associated with Akbar.
Yeah.
And we know the Mon Calamari sort of cruiser in Return of the Jedi as well. And the continued involvement going all the way through to so I'm just going to do the last one to the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
And of course we have Radis in Rogue One as well.
Yeah.
So we constantly see Mon Calamari associated with the rebellion. There was a Mon Cal senator in the prequels.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'll perhaps... Oh, where's the panel? Whether we'll see him brought into Mon Mothma's story in some way. That would be kind of interesting how sort of Mon Cal gets...
applicable for me, so I might have to do this one separately as well.
Okay. This one is a heroic.
What's that?
This one is a heroic.
Yes, it is.
It's a 2+, so...
Yeah. We'll see if it works.
Not too many sort of surprising moments. It's one of those things where it all sort of feels like it's playing out as it should, even though you don't know the storyline.
Well, not too many, but like I say, I was actually kind of surprised by Marva's hologram.
Yeah.
That wasn't... I thought there... Yeah, I don't know. I just thought there'd be that it was just a tinder keg waiting to go off, but didn't know that would be the specific trigger. I think it worked really well.
Yeah.
And it was insane that, yeah.
It's almost a little bit of... I know people, like, sometimes you want there to be strong parallels with other Star Wars content. Some people don't. They want it to be truly original. It had echoes of Galen Erso's speech that completely turns sort of Jyn Erso. She has quite a sort of a emotional response to seeing the message of her father, which is, he's not dead, but that's essentially the last time she kind of really hears him speak, because she only sees him briefly before he passes away. And the way that she's kind of like, we need to do what his sort of wishes were.
Yeah.
So...
Don't enter in Makia, but I have to pick up the data area from Makia. I can ban that. But should we do another 5 GSI?
Yeah, I'll go to Tatooine. I'm just running out the door so I can use the quick travel.
Yeah, I'll put... Well, you running out the door, help me res out, because it's your phase.
Yep. Mon Mothma had my heartbreak. It was sad. Yeah. I think she's realizing
she's got no joy, no happiness.
No, and I think she realizes that she's gonna have to do things she doesn't want to do for the sake of the rebellion.
Anyway, I'm alright.
But yeah.
But she's still got a long way to go to get to the point where we see her in Return of the Jedi. I don't know if that means that she's not going to be involved in the rebellion immediately, and she might in an active way. I mean, I wonder who she's in contact with other than Luthen Rail, if anyone.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just clearing some stuff out.
I love the Tatooine music when we got here. When we get here.
Okay. Start off with looking for the little scanner sticks.
Yep, that one's in some region, isn't it?
Yep.
So season 2, it'll be fun to see a few different planets, potentially.
Yeah. Oh, but golly, the wait is going to be awful. I
Yeah,
know that we never have too much of a wait before we have new Star Wars, different Star Wars, but...
No, there's things to fill the gap, but it is still, I specifically want to see more of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm always looking forward to all the upcoming live action
Hang on, it's not going to be down that far. I'm going to go have a look at the corridor up here.
Yep. But the wait could be 8-9 months if it's follows a similar schedule for next year. It could be longer.
We know that they have filmed.
Andor season 2 has just started in the last few weeks, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
here we are.
Wonder if Bob Iger will throw some more money at creatives. We know that some of the funds have been a little bit stifled at Disney because of the recently outgoing CEO, the return of Bob Iger.
Countdown.
Sorry. Yep. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, Bazak. Great to see you here. Yeah, that's obviously big news for Disney fans and for Star Wars fans.
Well, there's been, a lot of conversation that some of the funds to movie projects and potentially creative projects in general has been a little bit stifled just for the sake of cost cutting.
Yeah.
And that was Bob Chapek's approach in contrast to Bob Iger's approach.
Yeah.
Bob Iger does tend to respect, he has conceded that he rushed the timelines of the sequels just a little bit. He did concede that in his book, but apart from that, he does have a lot more respect for the creatives.
Certainly with the budgets that they need, which is important.
Yeah. And the decision making, to a point.
Let the creative people make the decisions that are best to create the best products, not rushing it to. And
so that's going to play out in good ways, I think, for Star Wars over the next little while. There's been already talk. I don't know how much of that's wishful thinking.
I'm out of the.
We're still looking
out of the zone. Sorry, I've got to go out and back in.
That the slates for the movies will get back on track, and we'll be seeing movies coming out potentially a little more frequently, not before 2025 at this rate, because there's still no solid production workflow for the next movie.
Yeah, but I'm hoping that this signals a shift with the way that Disney's going to run things. Oh, where is this thing?
How many have you got? I've only got one.
Yeah, we've only done one.
Okay,
there's only 3. I'm trying to find this one. I keep going out of the phase.
Yeah, that's a circle. I'll have a look at the map. Just back that one. So unfortunately, we're looking around a little bit for this particular quest while trying to
talk
and reminisce.
Oh wait, it's probably outside this way.
Sometimes it can be on the other side of this wall. Yeah. But I don't know. I went into there. I can see it's over here. I went into that episode quite anxious. I came out of it reasonably satisfied. Was that the only episode with a scene in the credits? Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, counting down. 3, 2, 1, go. So it was a post season scene rather than just a post episode scene.
Yeah. A fun little teaser. Answering one specific question. I think that was fun.
Just ominously.
Yeah. One more to find.
So there's definitely some tragedy. Mon Mothma's story is tragedy. We've highlighted some things that we thought to be highlights. B2's escape, Fritz's rescue.
I really like
Lethan's acceptance.
Is it Brazo's the one that was holding Marva's stone?
Yeah.
I'm like he's he's the sort of person that I want to see him in the rebellion.
I think this guy's just Brazo.
That's oh dear, I'm getting my fandoms mixed up. I'm just gonna quickly check down here. He's the sort of person that because a lot of the He was so
Such a
caring and
trusted character.
yeah.
Trust.
I didn't want to see him, you know, get taken out in the middle of the sort of the Imperial fight. I was gonna go down here for the lockbox. Ugh.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I was really glad. I wasn't.
Way that he would be.
I was almost not expecting
yeah.
anybody except for the sort of the rebel team that we've seen before, like Sentinel, Val, Luthen, Andor. I thought maybe they would all meet up and use Luthen's ship to escape.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
so I thought that was kind of interesting that a bunch of them, they either had that pre-planned or, like, you know, because they were sort of like trying to see if it will work and stuff like that.
I think Andor was working on that as an escape plan for those that he could help escape.
Yeah, yeah.
They're on the corner, just around the corner. You can see the little radiation emissions. Yep. Hang on. I think that's not okay. Yep. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Yeah. So I think I needed to diverge those story paths, get some of those rescued people just separate for now. Whether or not they come back to the rebellion, we don't know. But I think for now they need to be separate from Andor's path.
Yeah. You wonder, I'm just going to go out here and do the binoculars one while I'm here. Were the Cassian expected to meet up with them again? Because,
yeah,
like he kind of sends them on his way and he's like, I'll catch up with you type thing.
Yeah.
Whether he knew, he just wanted to get them safe, that he seems to be, I don't know, resigned to his fate. He seemed dead serious. It didn't seem like he was
well, I think he
sort of goading Luthen, like, come on, do it. Like, he seemed like he was...
at that point I don't think he was strictly certain that that's how it panned out. I think he was genuine in that those were what he saw as his two choices, either be killed or join the rebellion, and he was leaving it legitimately. He was taking the gamble that Luthen would respect and understand what he meant by saying that. So I don't think he had a...
Well, I think because he's lost his family. He's lost his father and his mother. And I guess... that at this point he's just sort of lost everything. So I think, he knows that sort of desperate times and either wants to kind of, not be constantly looking over his shoulder and stuff like that, or whether he was sort of calling Luthen's bluff, I don't know.
Oh, no, I don't think he was calling his bluff. Well, not per se, not directly, not in any. I think he was trying to convey, his loyalty.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one, we'll go out to Outpost Thorazon.
All right.
Thorazon.
Out west.
Thorazon. In the Dune Sea.
Sea.
Mm-hmm. So many Imperial costumes in this one.
Yeah.
The sort of the costume department must be having fun. We saw all sorts of variations of different armor, so classic armor, classic Imperial costumes, and then we get sort of, there was one particular Imperial that sort of had like a black sort of, I don't know, like it was a tunic but had the attached cape done in that different fabric. It felt like a black version of Krennic's sort of one. I think that was quite fun. I can imagine the costume clubs. What's that? Yeah, I'm just gonna do I'm just gonna go straight out and do the droid binocular mission out here as well.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, just briefly, it was in the background, we saw the Solo era Imperial speeder. It's a big boxy angular one. We know that was a physical prop for Solo because it's been seen in the behind the scenes material, so I wonder if that was one of the things they... And it was all in UK, though,
Yeah,
wasn't it? In
yeah.
Europe, so don't know if it's a physical prop.
Yeah. Can I see?
Trying to think about the solo filming and how much of that was in the UK. I think some
Yeah.
of it might have been in
I have to fight some dudes.
some
Wandered into an
dudes.
imperial.
We
Wandered
certainly
into
did.
an imperial base. On my way to find some Jawas. I've enjoyed each and every episode of this season.
Yeah.
They haven't all been action-packed, but I like the tension and the build-up that each sort of story arc gave us. I had seen an interview where they talked about, you think it's going to be like a heist, and then it's like a prison breakout, and the fact like each sort of story arc would give you a different sort of feel to it, which I quite enjoyed. Oh, droids aren't there either.
Not here.
Of course they're not. Okay. Down the bottom. You can see the Jawa balloon.
Yeah, I mean, we do tend to watch the Disney Plus content multiple times, often in quick succession. But yeah, I think I want to watch some of these episodes stacked together. I think they flow quite nicely stacked together.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some episodes of The Mandalorian that are like brilliant and they stand alone quite well. These ones, I think they fit together in either those 2 or 3 story arc sort of episode. And I don't know which one's my favorite one, to be honest.
Which one?
Each sort of yeah. Oh, I'm gonna dodge through the bumpers.
Yeah, it's sort of Aldani or the Arkina. I mean, you can sort of break them down based on region.
Yeah.
I don't know either.
I hope we still see a lot of the Imperial side of things in the next season. The ISB agents. I think they're fun.
I think we have to,
I might be able to do
because
the binoculars from here.
they're the counterpoint to the formation of the rebellion in many ways. It's not just the rebels aren't just against the stormtroopers; they're against the management of the empire, and it's not the military management. It is the broader machinery. It's the decision makers in some ways, and the ISB seems to be playing that role more so than individual military leaders.
I do hope we get a perhaps a little Palpatine in the next season. Sort of like, include him like once we kind of get a little closer to the Rogue One era, because we don't actually get Palpatine in Rogue One. It's more Tarkin and Vader in that one.
Yeah.
So binocular from here.
Andor season 2 has started production, and they can probably leverage a lot of the material that they sets and.
Did you get that one?
I did.
Cool. We can head up.
7 out of 10. Take lead on. Still got a little bit of work before we get to the actual release.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if, now that Bob Iger is back, whether we will see like a flurry of perhaps like more, not flurry, but like more marketing. Star Wars things
just being talked about.
Being sort of greenlit and getting actual progress. There was so much stuff that they were like, we're going to make Rangers of the Republic and we're going to make this thing and this thing and this thing. And then it feels like a while has passed and we haven't gotten those things yet. Some of them we know that are basically parked indefinitely, like the Lando thing, and we know Taika will eventually get on to writing his thing, and just sort of felt like, yeah, that they promised us a lot, and we're yet to see a lot of the payout. And we hope that perhaps that's just once they turn on the tap for the funds, that will start to. Oh, I found one.
Yep. Okay, we're getting buzz. 3, 2, 1, go.
It'll be interesting to see if we actually get a little bit more movement on some of those things, or perhaps some new ones that people have sort of in the wings but never got.
On that specific topic, will Tony Gilroy and or some of the other directors associated with this, will they get more work? Will there be another project
because because we've seen Lucasfilm basically stick with people that they have worked with before. Disney is very loyal in that respect, and whether we will see them go, okay, we love what you did, the critics loved Andor, but it's got a finite run and we want to keep you in our stable sort of creators, so pitch us another idea and let's see if we can keep making good Star Wars together.
There's other Rebel Alliance stories to be told beyond just Andor that I think would work quite well and was quite satisfying.
Yeah. I mean, who knows, maybe they'll take the idea for Rogue Squadron and as like just an ongoing series about the rebellion and the pilots. They could easily take that name and concept and do it as a series.
It worked in the novels. There's a whole pile of novels and comics.
I mean, you essentially take Rebel missions and just kind of, split it up. It would be different characters, not Andor specific, but
it's always been a formula where going back to, like I say, novels and comics, but even the video games, even X-Wing and TIE Fighter games, were all mission oriented. There's a lot to be.
Okay.
So we finished that one.
Yeah. Let's go Outpost Lagona.
That's one out to that. Yep.
I think that could be
I know we wouldn't get
potential
anything like
workaround
after Andor.
Yeah. No, but I don't think Disney's gonna want to let him go. I think the response to the show, certainly, I've just absolutely loved every episode.
But I know that it's taken a little bit of a hit in terms of numbers along the way compared to some other titles, but all the critical response and most of the fan response I've seen has been really, very positive.
Yeah, I know. This is the kind of show that's going to appeal more to Star Wars than the general fan, because I know that Baby Yoda was like that kind of cultural phenomenon that's hard to replicate, and this wasn't intended to kind of do that again.
No. In terms of viewership numbers, it arguably suffered a little. I can see it. Can you see it? I've got it from here.
No.
It arguably suffered a little bit because of the title, which is a little bit ambiguous to people that aren't fully invested in, the Rogue One arc.
Yeah.
What does it mean? Who's it about? What is it actually about? It's not many clues in the name.
And they didn't give us a like a sum up clip show, like they did for Kenobi, where they did like the prequels. Like okay, let's just sum up the prequels for you guys so you know what's going on here.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say. I think the overall marketing might have just been a little bit off, and again, that might have been a consequence of funds accessible to the creative team. Yeah, because the creative
we've seen it in the merchandising. They haven't really pushed Andor merchandising either.
Those are things that are generally out of the hands of the showrunners.
Oh,
They're not responsible for marketing or even trailers.
Yeah, it's some executive sitting in an office going, and then just it's at the whims of people in suits, and not really.
And sometimes it's the right people, sometimes it's the wrong people.
Yeah. I mean, we're collectors. We always come at it from we want merch for this type of viewpoint. And to be fair, there is Rogue One merch. Not as much as I think there should be, but...
well, there's a lot of Saw Gerrera figures.
Is this the one that... yeah, I know, but like from this series, I think it's up here, isn't it? Like, I do like Saw Gerrera, but I think Hasbro's pricing is killing that figure.
No, we've got to wait for that deluxe figure pricing to come down. Because when there's
Black Friday sales.
It's going to have to come down.
Where is this thing?
It's a nerve-wracking question, so I'm going to stand right close to the edge.
Yeah, can you see it?
Not with my eyeballs.
I thought it was one of these ones where it's up here. I'm also not aware if this one moves.
One of the other regions we can look from where it went. So yeah, there's definitely some figures coming out for this series down the line. I can't remember the exact release date off the top of my head, but they're out for pre-order at a couple of local spots.
Yeah.
With there's more Black Series than 3.75 TVC revealed so far, I think.
Yeah, which I'm not surprised. They know that Black Series is popular. It certainly makes them a lot of money.
Still looking at it. This is
yeah, I'm gonna go back to the bridge in case it's a different viewpoint than I remember.
Oh, hang on, I got it on my side. Oh, it's that same one. I'll find out.
I'm gonna try it. I think these things move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, disappeared off the map. Okay. You got it?
Yeah, we've got a little bit of travel.
Yeah. I think it's faster just to travel.
Yeah, now it's just trying to work it out. I think season 2 of this has got to have quite a bit more of a connection to Rogue One and the original trilogy.
Yeah.
So
I feel like they were smart in the fact that they knew that this one would appeal to a slightly older audience because Rogue One is a bit sad for kids. And also I think the people that appreciate the connections to A New Hope are people that are really nostalgic about New Hope, the ones that saw it. So I think they've played this show for the sort of adult audience. So that may have affected merchandising in the way that they are marketing it. They know that people that watched Star Wars back in '77 are going to love it, and they don't need to be told that there's this show. They will know. But yeah, I think it's a shame. I think they could have promoted it because there is a market out there for sort of gritty, serious television. Certainly a fair amount of shows. It doesn't
quite sell well in terms of collectible figures. You know, not the characters, but if they're all just wearing drab brown, pretty mundane looking costumes, I mean, they look good on the screen. They make sense on the screen.
I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen like a whole lineup of cool Imperial Funkos, like Stormtrooper, Death Trooper, and to be fair, some of these have been done for other movies, other sort of media, but any excuse to make classic Imperial stuff, it always sells well. People love classic Stormtroopers, and the Death Troopers are cool and scary, and there's all sorts of, like, I don't know. I
got it. It's on the side.
Okay, cool. These things always make me nervous getting close to the edges here. But I want to see, like, the vehicles, like Luthen Rail's ship, potentially too big to make as just trying to think which way. Yeah, we'll go down. Potentially too big to make as a 4-inch line vehicle, but perhaps we will see it in the.
Yeah, it might be a bit of a gamble as well. I think the market for it would still be a little small.
Oh no, go across the top. That's going to be cleaner.
But yeah, certainly in a micro galaxy squadron scale, I think it'd be awesome. Lots of moving parts, moving wings.
Potentially, like, I think it's about time that Hasbro made an Imperial shuttle vehicle again.
Yeah.
It's been done in the past. Yeah, but like if, you know, kids in like the vintage era could afford it, then they should make it now. Even if they just, like, I don't know. That just seems like a sensible thing to do. We've seen it in this. And it's not like they even have to think too hard about how to make it or what scale or anything like that. What's that?
How well it is.
Oh,
it is always sold well historically.
Huh? Because it's a cool classic Imperial sort of OT vehicle. that they have got to remake again. Oh, if I can get close to the edge without falling off, that would be great. Oh, come on. I can't. Oh, I gotta get really close to the edge. Because my binoculars don't go down.
Oh, no, it's weird, that one. Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Cool.
Get away from the edge, that makes me nervous.
Alright, I'll do one more to see where we're at.
That is that one.
Yeah, that one's done.
I'm gonna do the moisture evaporators. Where's the third one? Oh, that's one right all the way down the bottom. Okay. Do this one in Outlaw's Den and one right at the top. Actually, we only need to do one more.
One more quest, yeah.
Oh yes, of course, because there is only one more. We don't need
three more evaporators, so yeah.
Yeah. I'm losing track.
Yeah, so in terms of merchandising, yeah, it'd be good to see Stormtroopers and Death Troopers on Andor card backs, but I guess, like say, well, frankly, they're not on the shelves easily accessible just right now. I think army builders like that just need to be more accessible in general, particularly when they're featured at some level like this.
Because there was a bunch of like classic Imperial things. We saw classic TIE fighters.
Yep,
we saw sort of classic looking TIE Reapers. Just briefly, I think those would be fun. I don't think they've been made in 4-inch scale.
No.
Because we would probably own it if we did.
No, that's only been done. The TIE Reapers have only been done in extra miniature scale, I think.
Oh, that seems a shame. It's very cool. Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Sometimes you don't know if it's the fault of the companies not wanting to make merch for these things, or whether Disney just sort of has like a really long embargo for these things these days. They're like, no, we don't want you to spoil anything. You get to make it 6 months after everything's come out. Because we're seeing that with the likes of just Funko has just revealed the pop vinyls for the most recent Spider-Man movie, which came out a little while ago. And those pops have only just come out. And we know that, yeah, there's a spoilery element to those pops. I won't go into them. But it's been like months and it's pretty much all over the internet now. So perhaps that's just a plan that Disney's doing for a lot of these things going forward, that they just don't want merchandise out until well after. Not that I think that there was going to be a lot of spoilery elements to Andor. I don't think there was like big reveals.
Not based on products.
Certainly not to the extent of sort of the big reveal from the most recent Spider-Man movie, or like the end of Mando with, you know, Luke turns up and stuff like that. It wasn't like to that extent. It was never going to be that sort of show. We know what the big reveal is at the end, that, you know, they get the Death Star plans and meet their fate on Scarif. So I don't think... Yeah, but then, yeah, who knows? Lucasfilm can be really cryptic at some times and not so much at others. This is one of the tricky maps. You've got to go down to get out.
Yep.
Trying to think if there was any threads in this that we didn't see wrapped up. Like, or that we didn't sort of revisit in this episode. I think Saw Gerrera was sort of the main one.
We can rail shop. Yeah.
Yes, we don't know.
I mean, that didn't need to be wrapped up, but it wasn't touched on.
Yeah.
We saw pretty much everybody that we knew of on Ferrix at some level.
Yeah.
And we even saw the sergeant from...
Yeah, it was fun seeing him again.
Yeah.
Molana. The one that phoned Cyril about Andor's mother. I don't know what that switching hat thing was about. Are they just like trying to be a little bit more in disguise?
Yeah.
Just sort of this sort of like secret sort of nod to each other and swapping hats on the shuttle. It was just like, I don't know. It was a cute little moment. That even though he's not exactly a superior or anything like that, but they still sort of respect each other as if that sort of structure is still there.
Yeah.
And he's obviously, taking time out of his personal life or time off work to go travel to Ferrix to help, his former boss track down someone. I guess he feels the same way about Andor, that he wants to bring him to justice as well. And is quite happy to sort of help in that respect. And we see him right at the end, just kind of sitting on a quiet street, looking like he's drinking. I wasn't quite sure what to make of that. Whether he, is he sort of depressed with what happened? I'm not sure. Like, I don't know if he's enough of a character that will see him further on.
Too much on that. Bring him in, it'll almost be a cameo or an Easter egg down the line.
Yeah, so I wasn't quite sure what to make of that. Right there at the end.
No, I'm not sure either. I was actually surprised that they held the cards pertaining to the Mon Mothma's driver so close to the chest
right at
so
the end,
long. And really, they kept on hinting that he was a spy, and Mon Mothma thought he was a spy, but I thought he hasn't done anything particularly suspicious just yet. But boy, he was deeply in. Can we just travel to which one?
Lagona.
Yep. He was right there in the highest peak headquarters, so there's no denying that.
Yeah, we don't know whether he's just an Imperial sympathizer or like an actual agent that's being placed there. I assume he's just somebody that's just working for the Empire, like the sort of informant on Ferrix.
Yeah.
But I think that was a fun scene where she was like, "Can we have some privacy, please?" And then you hear him just like flick on the intercom so that he can listen to what they're saying. And I guess the only way it was ever going to work was that if her husband legitimately thought that she was accusing him. Because he seemed like
a convincing little plan.
It also kind of helps her in respect to sort of getting her family convinced that there are people out to get them. Because he was like, it's just somebody using me to get to you. Tell me who it is and I'll tell you why they're saying that. That he understands that what she's doing is drawing some attention. So if they do get, I'm stuck, closer Imperial scrutiny.
He might not know details, but he knows that she's not aligned with the Senate as it stands.
Yeah. So I think it was a clever move on her part. It accomplished a few things. And we know she's got to be really clever to kind of play in that arena and not get caught. Which it'll be really interesting because we seem to sort of show the components of her securing a way of her accessing funds. So does that mean we're sort of going to see an acceleration in setting up the rebellion if she can now access her family wealth for those means?
Well, I don't know. like I said, I don't know exactly where the money's going or who's using it in what way.
Yeah.
Specifically, I've only been a little bit superficial in regards to revealing that.
I'm curious to see how many threads have been set up in this first season that we're not necessarily aware of that are going to pay off in the second season. It'll be fun. Because there's been lots of little connecting threads.
Yeah, well,
not necessarily like a mystery, but just like, yeah, little things that are sort of connecting.
Yeah, well, there are still. I mean, the other thing we haven't even really discussed a whole lot this evening is that, Lonnie, the ISB plant, or Ruthven's plant in the ISB.
Yes, we didn't see him.
He was there when they were talking about Anti-Krieger, and
yeah, he was basically like pointing out that Deirdre is going to be mad because she wasn't there. Yeah,
he looked a little bit just very subtly not happy with the fact that Anti-Krieger had been, because he knew that it had been sacrificed to keep his Rollins position hidden.
Yeah, that all of those people are dying for him.
Yeah, so that's still significant that he's still there and still undercover and active. Basically.
Yes, that he didn't retire. Which is interesting.
Yeah, so I don't think much is happening by accident. I get the feeling that we will see more about Cinta and Val, more about Lonnie and the ISB, possibly more about Cyril, and certainly Deidre.
Oh yes, yeah, they're going to have to talk more about that, aren't they?
Even with a time jump,
I can see that from here.
I feel like we'll abandon any of those.
And to be honest, I wasn't really expecting there to be so many sort of different threads and so many different characters that I was really invested in. Sometimes when you feel like there's a lot of story arcs, it gets like complicated and a bit tiresome to keep track of everybody in that. But I felt like it was a really good balance of threads that I genuinely am interested in each one of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like all the things we've discussed, all the characters and, as we say, threads, plot threads.
Where's my
I want to see more of them.
Oh, I walked through.
What's that?
I went through the PvP area and forgot that it was going to put my companion away. I was like, where's our companions?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, good thing we didn't get close to those champions over there. That would have been a bit lethal.
It's almost midnight over time. We might be calling it very soon.
Yep. I was just going to check to see where that got. Ooh, it got my classic cartel packs. I might open those. Just to end on.
See what you got.
Yeah. I got classic cartel armor pack. Let's see what I get. I got potent combatant armor set. That's an old one. It's kind of fun. I think I've got it stored away. That's okay. Let's have a look at my classic cartel mount pack. Silver. So fingers crossed it's not a Rark. Oh, it's a Tyon. Okay, I could give that to one of my new characters. It's kind of an Imperial looking one. Yeah. I go to my item stash. See which page it's put it on. Oh, I've already got two of them in. Oh, this is my second one. I've already got one stashed in my item stash, so that's okay. That's cool. And then the other. Where's my gear? Can I preview the whole thing? Oh yeah, classic old stuff. There's some bits in there I can use. Not the headpiece though. Oh well. Fun freebies for an evening of fun. Okay, I'm going to park my girl back in her stronghold.
Yep. Likewise. So we won't have Disney Plus content to talk about on Wednesdays New Zealand time for a while, but we may find a similar time slot just to talk about Star Wars news in general.
Yeah.
on Wednesdays in particular. Possibly a shady because we were able to do it earlier when daylight savings aligned.
Yeah, so stuff was coming out at 7, so it was a little earlier for us.
Yeah, so possibly around about 8 o'clock New Zealand time on these Wednesday time slots. Rather than 10 o'clock is probably what we might stick to on an ongoing basis, you think?
Yeah.
And we'll just talk about, Star Wars news in general until we bide our time for Bad Batch to come out in early next year.
Yeah. So I guess that's it for tonight.
Indeed.
Okay, so thanks to everyone that came along and chatted. I hope you enjoyed the finale as much as we did. We're probably, even though it's a bit late, probably going to go off and watch it again. And it probably won't be too long until we're going to sit down and do a rewatch of the whole season to see how it all kind of fits together now that we know how it's all played out. And can't wait until we finally get the second season, however long that is for us to wait. Definitely enjoyed Andor and enjoyed chatting online for all of you guys, just having fun and talking about Star Wars. So thank you so much for coming. Hope to see you the next stream, and as always, may the Force be with you.
Thanks everybody. We'll see you next time.
If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, check out our other videos, and subscribe for alerts about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.